Welcome back. My name is Lillian Hernandez, but you can call me Lily like the flower because we're learning and growing together. And this is another TC live stream. And it's live because I literally just choked on my own words. So today I'm here live. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat. I'm going to go live on another platform as well, TikTok. So bear with me in a moment. But if you have any questions about real estate transaction coordination, business, my recent podcast that came out on Monday, where I just talked about kind of auditing my life, fresh starts, and reimagining life and giving yourself the opportunity to reimagine life and having the courage to do so. But let me go live here. You set that up. I'm back. So going live has been a lot of fun. It's been very beneficial to growing this channel. It's been super beneficial to reaching out to you all and what you guys need and answering your questions. And I have fun doing it. So there's that. Also, being self-employed, you have to get creative with the ways that you maintain your business, tell people about your business, as well as how you make money. So at the moment, I'm not getting paid directly for going live, but it does help to build up my YouTube channel with the watch hours and subscribers. And of course, I get to answer any questions that you all have for me directly in real time. So shout out to everyone joining right now. Shout out to those that will join or who will watch the replay later. I appreciate you. Double tap that screen so we can get people's questions answered and you guys can just work with me. Literally, I'm actually, my insurance, I have Kaiser. So if anyone has Kaiser, let me know. But they just created a new online payment website. So I have to re-register and I want to make sure that I do it right because I don't want to get locked out. And I realized, oh, they didn't take any money because I haven't set up this account. So now it's like asking you all the security questions and whatnot. So I'm doing that right now. So last week I was covering for another transaction coordinator. I came on live last week and my energy was kind of low because it was only day 2 of me covering for that person. And day 1 to me was in shambles. It didn't go the way I thought it would go. And I woke up, or I closed the day out kind of discouraged. And then I made sure that I ended the day, kind of reaffirming myself to make sure that, I didn't go into the next day just discouraged. And I had to pump myself back up. I had to remotivate myself and say, tomorrow's going to be better. We got through today. It was an adjustment because when you're covering for another person's business, when they're traveling or going on vacation, or maybe they have an emergency, it is an adjustment, and one of their main people decided to call out. And that also left me kind of in a bind where I was just like, whoa, she was supposed to take over this whole transaction process. I was going to come in and help. But once you're kind of thrown in it and everything is like, it's go time, a lot of it didn't make sense. So I was struggling that first day. But we got through it. I told you guys I would be back this week. So we are here. And if you have any questions about that, let's get this to double tap that screen if you're in here. I can't tell if people are in here or not. It's not showing me. I'm going to assume no one's in here yet, but I'm live on TikTok. I'm also live on YouTube. And I would play music, but YouTube would flag it. TikTok, I don't think they care. All right, cool. So we set that up. And let's see. But what do I have coming up? What can I talk about? I'm still finishing. Automate your payments. Sign up for recurring payments. Okay. So Kaiser updated their whole system. I just want to make sure I do this right before we move on. It's like once I start something, it's like I have to finish it. But I'm still here on live talking about things. But let's see, I put out a podcast on Monday. I hadn't put out a podcast all of August simply because, so the month of July I did not release a new podcast episode. And the podcast is Transaction Care, just like the name of my business. Because I was wanting to just give myself some time to breathe and to get YouTube situated and to, figure out how I'm going to present myself on TikTok, but mostly just to focus on YouTube because I wasn't giving YouTube any time and I wasn't giving my business of transaction coordination any time. And basically what happened was I had to get rid of something or at least pause something for the time being. And I chose for that to be the podcast because I already knew what was required for me to do, to show up for the podcast. And I had my systems and my routines in place. I just didn't know. I didn't know what I was going to do. Checking. I just didn't know. What the heck? Oh, I need the routing number. So I didn't have a system for, oh gosh, this is annoying, for YouTube. And I needed to create one because I really enjoyed being on here. And I enjoy posting blogs and I enjoy doing live streams. I just wasn't incorporating it into my schedule. And as someone that talks a lot about time management and whatnot, what does that even mean? Monthly. There we go. There we go. We did it. We did it, guys. So going back to the podcast, I was putting too much on my plate and I'm still like a one-person team. I'm hoping this year I can build up some way to create a team and whatnot in order to I did it. Just to get some help, in certain areas, whether it's just posting on my social media, like hiring someone to post on my social media or someone to help me with the files. I haven't quite figured it out yet. I think that's simply because I think about my budget and I'm like, I just can't afford help right now. But, maybe I'll find someone willing to help me for a month for free until we get things situated. But I also don't want to take advantage of someone's time or think that or I don't want someone to think I'm taking advantage of their time, which I know I'm not. Thank you, Tiago or Chiago. I don't know if I said that correctly. But I'm just talking about time management right now. I'm working. So actually, I finished a bulk of my work. So I come on live every Tuesday at 2:00 and just talk to you guys about life, work, business. I'm self-employed. I own a transaction coordination business. I host a podcast. I'm also live on YouTube right now. And I'm talking about managing too many things at once as someone that is self-employed or a solopreneur, whatever you want to call it, and finding ways to not just ask for help. I think I've gotten the whole, thank you so much for liking the live. I appreciate it. It's definitely going to help get more people in here. But Tiago or Thiago, if you have any questions, let me know. Drop them in the chat. For those in here as well, if you're watching, if you work in the real estate industry, or maybe you're interested in a career in the real estate industry, I would love to answer any questions or provide some guidance for you, or at least help direct you in the right, on the right path. Because I know a lot of times there's a lot of misinformation online. There's a lot of information, and sometimes it can be information overload. I know I experienced that when it comes to, different ways that I could present my coaching business, or even continue to have a coaching business. Because I think a lot of the reason I became a certified coach was I thought it was to help other people, but it's really become how I've been able to help myself. It's an expensive way of helping myself, but hey, right on for liking the live. Go ahead and keep double tapping the screen. I see you. That's what's up. But what else is going on? So I just updated my health insurance. So go me. I've been meaning to do that for about a week now since they announced the new platform. So if you have health insurance, specifically through Kaiser, they just updated their payment website. So I just did that, and that's done. What else do I have to do? That's about it. I don't have any traveling coming up. I'm not traveling anytime soon. So I'm just really grounded and present here, to help you guys, help myself to be more consistent with showing up. And so much more. But I'm glad I did that. Let's see. What is today's date? The 6th? Yeah, the 6th. I don't think so. Another thing I'm doing, here I go again, adding more things to my plate, is I registered to go back to college, just a community college. And I think I still need to register for classes. And I'm looking through the email. And obviously city college, like community college, everyone kind of gets accepted. Oh, here we go. But I think okay. Oh, yeah. So I'm gonna have to do this tonight and like register. They sent me a bunch of emails, but I don't know if I did them correctly. But yeah, the podcast I released this week was all about, which I've talked about here on these lives, but auditing your life, right? And I think if I was to start everything over from day one, if I was to say I'm going to start all over as a transaction coordinator today, this is what I would do. And honestly, before I even did anything related to changing careers, I would fix my life. I would focus on fixing my life and getting to know myself at this stage in life versus just jumping into a whole new career kind of blindly. You know what I mean? And really getting to know from the top down, the inside out, and asking myself those hard-hitting questions and spending time with myself to discover who I am in this new phase of life. Because a lot of people come to me and ask me, hey, I want to be a transaction coordinator. And then I tell them how to do it. I say, okay, this is where you start. Like, these are your next 3 actionable steps to get to move towards transaction coordination. And sometimes some people do it and some don't, or they realize, wow, I didn't know that's what a TC did. I just wanted to work from home. And then to me, that's where I tend to redirect the conversation, is like, okay, well, you want to work from home. What does that mean to you? And then we talk about, like, what are your numbers? Like, how much do you need to make in order to work from home and to survive at the bare minimum? And is there a way for you to, is your current job like that miserable to where you have to leave today? Because if so, then sometimes you just have to do what you have to do. But maybe it's a matter of asking for a raise or switching departments, or maybe your company has multiple locations and maybe you just have to change your location, change the scenery. You know what I mean? And if I were to start all over being a transaction coordinator, I would probably consider hiring a coach, and that's all a part of like knowing your numbers. Truly is like, can I afford this pivot right now, or can I use my 9 to 5 to invest in my future business or in my future decisions? Because one thing I'm glad I did in the beginning was save money. It was save money, invest my money, because that decision is benefiting me now, because 2023 was not my best year financially. It was the worst, actually. It was the worst year for me financially. And 2024 has been me kind of, I don't know if rebuilding is the right word, but it's been a year of just doing things a lot differently, and really, having, humbling myself, having more humility, being more strict and disciplined with my spending, and even just my priorities. Getting to know my priorities was important, because that was something I never gave space or time to. And this go around, I was like, you know what do I need to focus on in order to be successful? And it came down to, of course, family and friends, but also in my career, what are my priorities? How am I going to make money moving forward, but also in a way that's in alignment? You know what I mean? And there are moments when I did have to sacrifice and say, okay, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to give it a try, see what happens. And that was a result of me covering for someone who went on vacation last week. Is I put myself out there and I was like, hey, if anyone needs help this summer, I'm available. We'll talk. And that's what it's been. So being now that I'm in my 40s, having just turned 40, I just don't want to squander any opportunities or sit in any regret about any decisions or ideas that I have. I think some ideas I'll plan out, and then others will just be sporadic and random and, on a whim. Like, let's just give it a try now. Like, don't even think it, don't plan it out, don't strategize, just do it. Because I think I spent a lot of time in my 30s just overthinking, anxious and indecisive. But I knew, or I like overly preparing when I knew I was ready to make certain decisions, whether it was quitting my job or whether it was, getting on social media and starting that. Whereas like now I'm like, well, if I want to take social media seriously, then I have to execute and take action, because just talking about it isn't going to get anything done. And I was just doing too much talking, like I am right now. But covering for someone last week made me realize, like, okay, this can definitely still be a service that I would like to offer, but I need to refine how it's going to be presented, right? And the only way I was able to discover that this would have been a good service to offer is if I did it, messy, afraid. It's like I knew the end result was to get her files completed or answer any questions her team may have had, and just to kind of be available. So I was like, okay, that's an option. But then in the event where, maybe I'm covering the person's entire business, what's an easier way for them to present it to me, instead of just saying, here are my passwords, go ahead and pick up where I left off. Because it's impossible to pick up someone's business where they left off without explanation. Like, we had at least 2 1-hour meetings before she left. So I was trained for 2 hours on she had a lot of transactions, you know what I mean? And that was a volume that I wasn't used to, where I was just a little rusty at. But she also had a team. So I got to see how a team would work. If I was to ever hire a team, I got to see it from her perspective and how she had, how they all communicated, how they all just, as soon as something hit the inbox, it was taken care of. You know what I mean? So I was able to kind of get an insight on how someone else does the same job that I do, but just in their style, which is very cool, which I appreciated. And building that trust, and continuing to build my network and finding new ways of generating income, whether it's a side hustle, a full-time gig or service. That was one of those ideas I had for all year. I was thinking about it all year, but I never took action on it. I just was like, yeah, I think I'll do it this summer. I'll do it this summer. And then now we're approaching fall, and we're almost in fall. It's still summer, but I finally put out that alert and I was like, hey, if anyone needs help this summer, let me know. And I got a response, which tells me that I was on the right track to something. So I should continue it, or at least present it in a way that's, that would get more responses. Because it is kind of nice to just watch someone's transactions. And obviously I'm still doing the same job. I'm still responsible, and the protection still needs to exist, but truly giving something back. It's like babysitting your siblings' kids or your friends' kids. Like, I have to give you my 100,000% attention, right? But once your parents come back, here you go. Clean slate. I don't have to think about anything else. I don't have to go revisit anything. It's just, I'm done with my job and I move on. Versus when I'm managing my transactions, I'm responsible for them for at least the next 5 years. You know what I mean? So there's something about that aspect of just kind of coming in and, I guess, babysitting someone else's transactions. Yeah, so I've been just exploring different ways of doing that. Going live every week has also been another exploration in different ways to reach more people. And, even with TikTok, people can send you gifts and whatnot. So that's another way of generating income for anyone else out there wanting to utilize social media. If you have the live feature, go live. Obviously, people in here find me. It's not just shared to people that I know. It's shared to strangers throughout the world. So if you're in here, thank you so much. I appreciate you. If you have any questions for me about real estate, business, transaction coordination, go ahead and drop them in the comments. I'm glad to answer them. If you have a win you want to celebrate, because we don't want to overlook our wins. We don't want to ignore our wins and our celebrations, big and small. I think that's so important. That was one of the greatest tips I could have received from my coach, was to celebrate my wins, and I often forget to do that. And I'll often wallow in my own despair sometimes, because I'm thinking I don't have any wins to celebrate when I really do, Let's see. This is 50-ish. Hi, nice to meet you. Nice to see you. I should change my account to this is 40-ish. I just turned 40. This is what system do I use to keep track of it all? So I keep track of everything using TC Docs. There are plenty there are plenty of other transaction management platforms out there. But TC Docs is what I use right now. And I just pay on a monthly basis, like around, how much do I pay? I think $60. I pay $60 a month to maintain it. You have to build it out and create all of your own templates. Anytime you use a transaction management platform, they provide the system, and then you build it out like task by task, template by template. So just FYI. I also use Google Calendar as well. So I connect everything to Google Calendar. Some brokerages use their own platforms like SkySlope, or they'll have their own app or brokerage platform. So you just have to be aware of who uses what. But for all of my transactions, I use TC Docs because I tried it for a couple of months and gave up trying. The setup is intense. I had no idea that I had to do all of that, the whole setup. So I was in your same boat. I purchased it, I think 3 years ago. Yeah, I think this is my 3rd year using it. So maybe 2.5 years ago, right? So I remember I purchased it in January 20, either 2021 or 22, but you get the idea, right? So I purchased it in January. I messed with it for like a couple of weeks and then I got discouraged because I was like, what the heck? This is too much. I don't have time for all this. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. And then I met up with my coach again and I was like, hey, I'm struggling with setting this up. I don't know what I'm doing. Can you show me how yours is set up? Can you show me how yours is set up so I can get a better idea of what I'm doing? Because they call certain things like an agenda or a schedule, I think is called like, hold on, let me pull up mine. Like that's called your checklist. But then the document section, what I would call a checklist is called the document section. So anything new is always going to be awkward to set up or to understand, because the TC that I was covering for last week, she used paperless pipeline, and they don't even have a checklist section where you could check things off. So she used codes. Like, we use this acronym if something's incomplete. And I was just like, do you just commit everything to memory? This doesn't make any sense. So it was an adjustment. But once my coach showed me how to do it and set it up, I just spent a whole weekend, not all 48 hours, but a good chunk of an entire weekend, just going in and setting it up, even if it was wrong. And then I started little by little adding transactions in there. I didn't transfer all my transactions until I felt comfortable. I just would do one at a time, like one listing, one sale. And then when I noticed like, oh, I should have put this here instead of this, I should move this section to that section, or I should separate these checklists and make them their own. And that took maybe about 2 more weeks of trial and error, because we all know like transactions, they take time. So it took me about a good month to really get comfortable with setting it up. Excuse me. I ate something spicy for lunch, and now talking is, I'm feeling it. But when it comes to setting it up, it's going to take time, but you have to invest the time in order for it to make sense and in order for it to work for you. And there's a lot of training videos. I think a lot of these programs have their own YouTube channels. I think there are even some TCs that offer it as a service to set it up for you. So you can look in the Facebook groups to have someone do it for you. But I think it's best to know how to set it up. So just in case something goes wrong or you don't understand why they set it up this way, you have an understanding. You're not totally blind to what's going on. Let's see. Order. Let's see. It looks amazing, but yes, you got discouraged. Order. What do you mean order? Like ordering, like order of operation, or ordering like a program or something? So for those joining here on YouTube, I'm also live on TikTok. And for those just joining on TikTok, I'm live on YouTube. And right now we're talking about, see the line. Are you in TC Docs before order? Tools? No. See the line before order? So let me know if you're talking about TC Docs. Oh, your comment before the word order? It just says it looks amazing, but yes, I got discouraged. Yes, I tried a couple months but gave up setting it up. Oh, your other comment didn't show up before order. I don't see another comment. I don't know what happened. I just scrolled through all of it. If you don't mind just retyping the comment, it's okay. I don't mind. But it just didn't, it's weird. It didn't show up. So now I'm wondering if I'm missing anyone else's comments. Hopefully not. Who's in here on YouTube? Let me know. We're talking about setting up transaction management platforms at the moment, because I would say that's definitely been the biggest game changer in my business. And even though I don't have as high of a volume of transactions as I did when I first started, I can only imagine how much better I would have been if I had a transaction management platform to begin with. Truly. It's a lifesaver. It's a time saver. I feel more productive when I use it versus when I was doing everything on a Word document, committing things to memory. I am grateful that I have it, and there's another transaction management platform that I hope gets a few more features, and then I might eventually switch over. But that's Real Estate Lifeline. So if you guys want to check that out, the owner of it is a TC herself, and her and her husband developed it maybe about a year and a half ago. So it's called Real Estate Lifeline. If you guys want to check that out, tell them I sent you. And I don't get paid to say any of these people's names or to shout them out. I'm just doing it from the kindness of my heart. And if they ever want to advertise on my podcast or on the lives, they're more than welcome to. But for those wanting to become a transaction coordinator, learning the basics is key. Like, always start with the basics. There's always going to be nuances. There's always going to be situations where you may get stuck. For instance, I'll give you guys an example of what happened to me today. So I start working once I get a ratified contract, which means as soon as a listing agreement is signed or a purchase agreement is signed, fully executed, that's when I begin my process. And today I received a new listing agreement from one of my clients, and that was my cue to get started. So great. My first step is always to pull the tax records. And I pull the tax records to verify a few things: the property address, the APN, the year it was built, the square footage, and the seller's names. Because sometimes the name given on the contract doesn't match what's on the tax records or what was, put onto the final deed of when they purchased the home. Like if it's in a trust or if it's an LLC, or maybe along the way they added or took someone off. So anyway, I go to search for the tax records. I search the address. Nothing comes up. The building comes up and a bunch of other units, and this is a condo. A bunch of other units come up, and I'm like, okay, this is weird. So I look at the listing agreement for the APN, which is the assessor's parcel number, also known as the block and lot. So what block is it on and what lot within that block is that specific home. So I look up the block and lot, aka the APN, and a whole different address shows up. So let's just say the address was 123 Main on the listing agreement, but then when I pull up the tax records, it was 678 Computer Street. Same city, but two different parts of the city. So now I'm like, well, I can't move on because the addresses don't align. So these are things that you're not really going to learn in a training program per se. You're going to obviously learn it here because I'm talking about it. But this is, what would you do in this situation? And if you are a new TC, or maybe you're considering a TC, just based off of what I said, if you get a signed listing agreement, but then the tax records don't match, the address doesn't match, but the seller matches, what would you do in that situation? And feel free to comment what you would do in that situation. But I'll definitely tell you guys what you should do in that situation. But I'll give people some time to answer. Candy on YouTube, hi. All you wrote was aisle 5. Is that code for something? But in this situation where the listing agreement address doesn't match the tax records address or the property profile address, what you would do is reach out to your realtor first and foremost, because a lot of the times they'll just send you these contracts with little to no information. So for every listing, yes, call your title gal. Exactly. That is definitely another option. So talk to your realtor, ask them a question. I have a template of questions that I send to my realtor anytime I get a new listing. So if they don't answer the questions within that template, and if I notice something after I've sent that email, I reach out to them directly. And sometimes you don't know who they want to open escrow/title with, so I won't have that information, but always go to the source, which is your realtor. That's your first point of contact, and then we could start going to title, escrow, because maybe the realtor had no idea that there was a whole different address. But in this situation today, I emailed the listing agent and I said, hey, I downloaded the tax records and I sent it to them. And I said, every time I look up the APN, this property shows up and it doesn't match what you sent me. Please advise on how to proceed. You don't have to over-explain yourself. You don't have to do all the research. You don't have to go to the assessor's building and get the addresses changed. You don't have to call the sellers. Just go straight to the realtor or escrow title. And maybe like 20 minutes later, I get a response and they told me, which is why as a TC, it's our responsibility, or even if you're a VA or a team member, it's our responsibility, because we are a team, is to get these questions answered and don't just internalize them, because 20 minutes later they were like, oh yeah, by the way, like had I not asked, I would have moved on not knowing that there were 2 different addresses. So basically they said the mailing address is the one that keeps going to the tax records, but the building is what's on the listing agreement. So now I just literally, before I hopped on this live, I just got that response. So then I upload all the documents to the broker compliance platform. And I'm going to see what they are going to need from us for the file in order to make note of this. It might be an addendum for the file. It's definitely going to be the prelim. So once I open escrow or pre-escrow, I'm going to get the prelim and we could verify from there and get all the proper paperwork and information to confirm the address and disclose that to our buyers. And that's it. If any additional paperwork or disclosures are required, then I'll add those as I go. But right now it's literally day 1, so not too much is happening in the moment. But ultimately, yes, always go to the source, which is, especially when it comes to title, the vesting, the names on title. You can go to your realtor. If they don't know, then we go to escrow and your title officer and take it from there. If you work in a state that works with attorneys, then you'd probably want to go to an attorney. I don't work in a state where they use attorneys, so I don't know how much of a scope of work how much they're involved in that aspect, but I would imagine that they would be your go-to person next to your realtors. But there's a lot of nuances that are required in becoming a transaction coordinator, which is why I do these live sessions and these live streams, because just to kind of normalize the fact that these situations happen, but you don't have to panic. You don't have to do it. You don't have to internalize them as, oh my God, I should have known this. Because the first time I encountered it, I did not know I was supposed to know it. And it's okay. If it is something you think you should know, just go to your realtor and say something like, hey, it's been a while since this has happened to me. Can you, please advise on how you would like to proceed? I noticed the addresses were wrong. Was this a mistake by the city? Was this a mistake by title or escrow? Was this a mistake made by the city? You don't have to go into all of those questions in depth, to get the explanation. They'll eventually explain it to you. But that happened today. And basically, I'm going to proceed with the address that was on the listing agreement. And then once we get our prelim, that'll really break down the whole property setup. But shout out to those that are joining. Thank you guys so much. Yeah, I'm talking about my day as a transaction coordinator and the different nuances that can occur. Earlier, we were talking about time management and the benefits of using a transaction management platform. So that's just a few things we've covered. Okay, let's see. I'm about 1 year in, and the best lesson I've learned is quit being embarrassed and just ask. I have to applaud you on that one because that took me a long time to realize myself. And that's why I say, you don't have to internalize things or feel embarrassed or shame because you may not know it. I guarantee if it's a situation you've never been in, I mean, obviously, if you're 1 year or less, a lot of these situations are going to be unfamiliar. But even someone like myself that's worked in the real estate industry since 2004, even I am like, what do I do in this situation? And today, again, when I ordered the natural hazard, it had the other address, but then our listing agreement has the other address. So even though I've been in this situation before, I'm not going to assume or internalize it as my responsibility to figure out and navigate. I'm going to include everyone involved and say, hey, look at our NHD, look at our natural hazard disclosure report. It has this address. Look at our listing agreement. Just for clarity, if we need to add an addendum for the buyers, to know, or, let's wait for the prelim before we do anything. You just can't be embarrassed. And I applaud you for realizing that, because I've noticed a lot of TCs will tend to take on more work than they need to because they overcompensate, thinking that maybe they're projecting their insecurities on others, thinking like, oh, I'm not doing enough, so let me just do it for them. When it's like, you don't have to do all that. A lot of the realtors that we work with, even just tagging a DocuSign to them is like more than enough, because you're saving them 30 minutes to an hour sometimes, just tagging and coordinating different documents. So they're not asking you to update the vesting or to research why there are two different property addresses. That's why we have escrow and title. That's why we have different parts of the transaction. You know what I mean? Like, it's not my responsibility to get the buyers a loan or to make sure that their finances are in order. No, my job as a TC is to make sure things are flowing according to the timeline and gathering the right paperwork to keep for our file. The pre-approval, proof of funds, the deposit receipt, or receipts if there are more than one, and checking in with the lender here and there to make sure we're still on track if they haven't already been updating us. Because in a perfect world, everyone is sending updates on their own, and we're not having to like fetch or dig or wait so long. But not every transaction is perfect. So as long as you're doing your part, there's not much else we can do. And this is 50ish. If you don't mind, what is your name? If you don't mind sharing it, because I want to, or I could just keep saying this is 50ish. I don't mind that either. That's such a big lesson, is not being embarrassed and just ask. It's going to save you so much time. Cindy Carroll, thank you for sharing. Yeah, it makes a world of a difference. Just don't be embarrassed and just ask. save you so much stress and anxiety. Just ask. Just ask and follow up. Cindy Carroll. Have we worked together? Sorry. But I think you were in my YouTube lives. I'm like, your name sounds so familiar. The picture is so small. I can't really tell, but we've met. I know we have. Yes. Okay. I was like, your name sounds so familiar. And I searched it and it said you were commenting like a couple years ago. That's wild. So congratulations on doing it and like becoming a transaction coordinator. How was that those first few months of like, I'm going to do this, I'm learning, and then now I'm in it? Like, how would you describe those first like 6 months? Because a lot of people, are wanting to be where you're at now, and I don't know if you're doing it remotely or in-house, there's nothing wrong with either. Because it says some comments were protected for the community experience. Who is commenting crazy things? Sorry, I got a little distracted. I was checking my email. But yeah, so I launched my Patreon officially last week, and that's where I've decided that's where I want to house all of like my even longer form content and training videos. And even though I'm doing these live sessions, there's no real like specific topic that I talk about in these live sessions. I just talk about what is happening and then I answer questions. But with the Patreon, that's where it's going to be more topic focused. And my goal by the end of the month is to finally record like a long training video that I'll keep on Patreon as like exclusive, right? That breaks down like how I do everything, and then ways that you can literally just like a training video, but with like chapters. Most people will have modules and things of that nature, but I want to keep it as simple and to the point as possible, because I don't know. More power to the people that are have courses and are selling products and whatnot, go, support them for sure. But also, I think I just want people to come to my Patreon for that extra support that they might need. May not necessarily be like, you always want to consult with your broker, your realtor, if there are attorneys involved, obviously, right? But I could definitely be that source, throughout the whole work week on my Patreon, as someone that is like, you have access to my chat, you have access to the group, you have access to exclusive content. Like I shared the podcast in there like 2 days before it even went live. And yeah, so it's only about, I launched it softly about a month ago, but August 1st was when I decided to make it, like, talk about it more publicly and try to get more people in there. I think I have about 4 members right now. My goal is to hit 10. And the first 10 people that join, it's only going to cost $7 a month. And then once I hit my goal of 10 members, then it just goes up to $10 a month. But the same content, nothing different. It's just the only difference is the price. So right now the special is you join for $7 a month. You get exclusive content, and then yeah, and then any questions you have or whatnot, they get answered in there as well. But I'm still going live every Tuesday for at minimum 1 hour. One of these days, as I continue to build my community and my audience, I want to go live for at least like 8 hours. I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't know what I'm going to have to do mentally, emotionally, physically to charge up for that. But I'm going to do it where I, like, as soon as I sit at my desk in the morning, maybe give myself 1 hour to settle in. And then maybe like at 10 a.m., I hit the live button and then I just keep it open. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do that in the next couple of weeks. I have to look at my schedule, but I think that would work. Where I just hit the live button and we go live all day, and people would join throughout different times, and I just talk. I'm still learning the features on TikTok, but I imagine I could like mute it, or if I had to take a phone call or something, or if I was in a meeting. But right now I don't have any meetings. I don't have any meetings scheduled for the month of August because my focus is YouTube, TikTok, and Patreon. And when I say YouTube, I mean like the podcast also. Hi, Michelle. I was actually just talking about I'm going to create a video from start to finish, but I'm only going to post it for my Patreon at first because I want people that are serious about transaction coordination to access it. And then that way, if I need to make any changes to it or add anything or edit it, the people on my Patreon will have first access, as well as, they can provide me with the feedback necessary before I make it public. But what state are you located in? And where, Michelle, what state are you located in? Because I'm more than willing to answer any questions right now to help you in the process. So you're not waiting around because you might be eager to start. Oh, 8 transactions is wonderful. You're doing more than I am right now. My goal is to get back up to 8. I think what's manageable for people that question is subjective, because 20 at a time just depends on your lifestyle. Like, do you manage your home? Like, do you have kids? Do you have other responsibilities? Do you have another job? Do you have, how's your mental health? Do you have the capacity to do that? You see what it takes to manage, 5 to 8 transactions a month. So now you have to ask yourself, how would I feel if I were to double this? Do I have the capacity now to double this, is all. And then if you feel like the answer is yes, then yeah, then it's manageable. But if you feel like, maybe I'll need to hire someone to do DocuSign stuff, or setting up timelines, or setting up your anything, right? So once you hit a certain amount of money, or that you can afford someone to hire them for help, then it becomes more manageable. One of the biggest mistakes I made when I was first starting is I didn't hire any help. And I got up to almost like 90 transactions a month. It was something ridiculous. And I burnt out so much to the point where I wanted nothing to do with transaction coordination. But because I was so new to running a business, I didn't know how to ask for help. I didn't know that I was supposed to, 90. I'm also live on TikTok for anyone in here. Michelle, I'll answer your question in just a moment. Yeah, 90. Because I had just, I was an independent contractor for a brand new real estate company. And there was only, at the time, 4 of us managing the whole brokerage throughout all of California, and only 2 of us managing the Bay Area. So we got all of their Bay Area transactions. And I went from my 9 to 5 to solo overnight. making almost more than double than I had made at my 9 to 5. And I didn't know how to manage it on my own. I didn't know how to ask for help. I didn't know how to run a business. So when you ask, like, what is manageable for a California solo TC, it's really, and I think that's what's led me down this path of like wanting to help others is and becoming a coach and, doing content creation, is because I knew what I struggled with. And it's not to say that I want you to, what I say, do it this way, you won't ever struggle. But it's more so, here are some tips to help you through the struggle, or to help you avoid getting into that situation. So I would say, counting listings and sales, I would say a manageable number for one person, that's normal. Tweaking your checklist at every transaction is normal. The fact that you even tweak it is a green flag that you care. You know what I mean? And you want to do good and do the job right. But I would say, if you can afford to market yourself as often as possible, then you'll start to be able to build up those numbers. You know what I mean? And but if it's taking you 40 hours to do 8 transactions, then I would take a step back and say, okay, where can I improve? How can I make this process a little faster? How can I make it more efficient? How can I make it more, how can I automate some of these tasks and whatnot in order to take on more, versus just taking on more using the same systems? And instead of working 8 hours a day, now you're working 16, when you could work those same 8 hours and do 20 transactions a month, 8 hours a day, if that's your choice. You know what I mean? But how can you take on more? Yeah. So think about how you manage your time now and your day to day. What is the opportunity cost right now for you if you were to take on more? Like, where in your life would you have to take away time in order to invest more time into TCing? Or how can you take the time block you have for TCing and open that up? Meaning it's the same block, but you're just auditing all the tasks within it in order to fit more in there. But either is it hiring help? Is it let me think about this. Is it finishing setting up your TC management platform? Is it setting up templates in your inbox so you don't have to keep typing out the same email over and over again? You know what I mean? Like, those are different ways you can automate your systems. Is in my Gmail. I don't know if you use Gmail, but when you hit the compose button, it allows you to create templates, and then also you can schedule emails out. So there's so many different ways that you can make your business more efficient in the same 8 hours or 4 hours or however many hours you want to work in a day. Let's just say on average 6 hours, you're working for 6 hours in the day. Maybe it's 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the evening, or 2 hours here and there, then a break, 2 hours here and there. However you want to break up the day. But are you making the most of those 2 hours or those 1 hour sprints, 2 hour sprints? So something to think about. You're going to, just like your checklist, you're going to tweak your time. You're working in Folios. I'm currently improving your email templates. Yeah. And the setup time is going to take longer than at first, but once you get it down, you'll realize how much more time you're saving once things are automated, or once things are input in a way where it's just like a couple clicks versus several clicks. And then like the TC management platform will show you like, these are the tasks that are due today. These are the tasks that are coming up. These are the tasks that are coming up later. So then you can manage your time that way, you're not doing tasks today that aren't due for another 2 weeks. And Michelle, I saw you're based in Georgia. So every state, I'm live on TikTok and YouTube, but every state operates differently. So even if you watch a training video from beginning to end, it's not necessarily going to train you on the specifics of your state. And then even within each state, every state is broken down into cities and counties. And every city and county has different requirements. And then depending on the type of real estate you want to work in, is it residential? Is it commercial? Are you going to be working with investors, right? So you want to get specific on who you're working with so you can understand exactly what type of transaction coordination you're going to be doing. Hi, Alo. Hope I said your name right. Yeah. And Cindy, I've never used Folio, but it does have some good features that I've seen when I was in other people's inboxes. Yeah, see, I only do the Bay Area, and everyone in their own counties is like, I don't know, they have their own gripes over different things. So Alo, you want to become a TC as a side hustle currently, you work at a title company. So if your hours at the title company are occupied doing work, it's going to be really difficult to incorporate transaction coordination in there, simply because throughout the day you're getting emails, you have deadlines to meet, you have to respond to those emails, you might have to take phone calls, you might have to send disclosures out at the drop of a dime, whether it's on DocuSign, zip forms, and whatnot. So, I mean, if you think it's possible, you know what I mean? And some people are very strict about using company laptops, using company Wi-Fi, so unless the realtor that you plan on working with, Alo, is someone that you know and is aware of your situation and is okay with you doing this after hours when you're at home, then it could be possible. Because most side hustles, are the 5 to 9 versus the 9 to 5 is your 9 to 5, and you use that money to invest in your side hustle or in your business that you plan on starting, right? So if you know someone in the real estate industry that is willing to take you on as their part-time TC, then, and if they're willing, if they're aware that you're not going to be responding till after hours, but you also have to be aware of, making sure you're setting the proper boundaries as well, so they're not calling you all hours of the day. But just keep in mind that some companies are very strict with people working 2 different jobs at once. And if they see you working on their company Wi-Fi and laptops, because there's programs that can see like you've been searching other things other than what's allowed. So just be careful with that. But if you know someone, or if you plan on building the business and you're serious about it, because I personally don't think transaction coordination can be just a side hustle. I would suggest, if you know other transaction coordinators that need help and you let them know your situation, maybe they can help you. Maybe you can be like a TC assistant and you work after hours and you do all the things that they weren't able to get to throughout the day. And that's also less pressure on you to respond to emails, to meet deadlines, because you already know, when I get home for the next 2 hours, they're going to pay me $30 an hour, $25 an hour, whatever the case may be, to do these 5 tasks. Even if it doesn't take you 2 hours, it might take you longer than 2 hours, but you at least know you have assignments after work that are a little bit, yeah, see it. And then there are definitely matters that need to be taken care of during the 9 to 5 hours. So if you are maybe an assistant to a transaction coordinator, that pressure is taken off of you to be the one responsible to tend to those urgent matters. And as someone, going back to what I was talking about earlier about if I was to start all over as a transaction coordinator, I would personally either get a job. I would definitely get a job in a real estate office first. And if that doesn't work out, I would ask transaction coordinators that need help or have an agency. I would apply for jobs there or reach out to them directly and say, how can I be of assistance? How can I help? I have this many hours available throughout the week. Do you have anything available? Like you don't always have to be the lead TC when you're just starting out. Or if you are approaching this as a side hustle, I would reach out to transaction coordinators in your area and see if they're hiring first. Because then that way the lead transaction coordinator can handle all the 9 to 5 stuff, and then you can handle all the stuff in between, and maybe you could be the after hours coordinator. I hope that helps. I hope that makes sense. Feel free to DM me if you have any additional questions. If you want to learn more about transaction coordination, feel free to join my Patreon as well. It's $7 a month. We talk about this stuff here. I just launched it last week, so it's fairly new. I'm looking to meet my 10 member goal by September. So you're going to see me talking about Patreon a lot, but that's where I will be releasing as much from beginning to end training materials that I'm willing to create and provide. And it's just going to be, it's not going to be anything fancy like a lot of these courses or a lot of these digital downloads. I just wanted to create a place where it would live for those that are serious about TCing, that they can go in there and have access to that. Whereas a lot of the times when I give out free information here on my website or on social media, it just kind of falls to the wayside. It's not taken as seriously. Let's see. Yeah. So there's so many different ways where you can learn about real estate that doesn't require you to be the main TC. I was an agent's assistant for 2 years, not TCing, but I learned how transactions work. Exactly. So if you want to get your feet wet, if you want to learn the ropes, apply for jobs, be an assistant, be a virtual assistant, use the skills you already possess in order to leverage that and make it a package deal to make yourself more presentable. Hi, Lily. Because that's how I started. I was an office admin. I started out as an office admin. They had me doing everything from MLS input, from disclosure packets to organizing their storage units back when they used to use files. I was putting mail in mailboxes. I was ordering signs. I was picking up signs at sign companies. I was doing marketing flyers. I was running social media. Oh my gosh. And I learned more doing that than I did just being a transaction coordinator. And I'm so grateful for that experience. So Alo, you working in escrow, maybe there's additional work that you can take on at your company currently. Maybe there's some additional work that you can take on currently, or how much extra are you anticipating making, doing this as a side hustle. Maybe you can negotiate a raise for yourself instead of having to add more work on your plate. Maybe you could do the same amount of work, just making more money. There's, or maybe going for a new position at your job. You know what I mean? So just some different options to consider. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You learn more just kind of being immersed in the world versus just doing one specific job. The only areas that I haven't explored, well, I mean, there's a lot of areas I haven't explored. Like I don't know anything. I don't know that much about lending, the mortgage side of it. I feel like I could definitely benefit from learning more about that. The escrow title side, ALO, if you want to make side hustle money, and if you're interested in doing content, maybe you could teach people the escrow side of things and talk about that. Because like I just said, I don't know that much about the escrow title side other than the basics and the fundamentals that I've learned by being a TC. But you can explain to the average person wanting to buy a house, this is what this means, this is what that means, you know what I mean? And just sit and create 20 pieces of content that are 1 minute long. And I don't know, there's so many different ways that you can develop a side hustle that's related to the skills and the job that you already possess. So something to think about, because being a TC is a lot of work. And if you don't, this is what happens when you don't respond on time, or this is what has happened to me. And feel free if you've experienced this as well, but I have not responded to emails, right? Like, let's just say I get an email at 12 p.m. and it's 3 p.m. right now. And then 4 p.m. hits and maybe I didn't respond to an email. This is what I've gotten as responses. Do you still work for me? Did you quit? Just tell me if you're too overwhelmed to work on my files. I'll get someone else to do it. Or why aren't you responding? So ALO and anyone else out there that wants to be a TC and do it as a side hustle, the repercussions can very much backfire if you're not available. Because realtors are very sensitive and they're used to and it's not like you have to respond and get the work done the minute they request it. All they want you to say is, received, thank you, I'm on it, I'll get it done. When do you need this done by? I like to ask that question to buy myself some time, because oftentimes they'll say, oh, we don't need it to the end of the month. Or actually, I'm meeting with my clients tonight at 5 p.m. Is there any way you could get it done by 5? Then you have to make some arrangements. But if you're at your 9 to 5 and you're unable to do that, it's very scary and can result in you being fired, or it could also, even worse, result in your clients not getting a listing or a sale. So you have to kind of think about those things before just becoming a side hustle. So when I hear the word side hustle and I connect it to real estate, I'm like, some people need help doing DocuSigns. Some people need help splitting documents in platforms like SkySlope, Dotloop, or other broker management platforms. Like, there's so many little jobs that can become a side hustle that you can help with, that isn't you just starting a whole new career. Shout out to those on YouTube still. Shout out to those here on TikTok. All right, Lily. Hi, Lily. I acquired knowledge from different videos and courses, and I really want to take a leap. Yes. So remind me again, how you're doing today, with taking that leap. Because I remember it took me 2 years to take a leap. And my leap eventually turned into being pushed off of the ledge because life and my personal life forced me to. But I had been so prepared that once I took that leap, I was able to just coast and have like a pretty soft landing. but your leap does not have to take 2 years, is what I'm getting at. Just making sure my emails are good. But if you've taken some courses, you've learned from some videos, is your money in order? Do you know what you're going to charge? Do you know what cities and counties and states you're going to service? How many realtors or brokerages have you reached out to today, and how many do you plan on reaching out to every single day until you get your first client or first clients? And even when you do get your first clients, are your systems in order to get everything done? And then once you're ready to, take on more business, what's your marketing plan from there? What's your sales plan from there? And yeah, because I mean, for me, my pivot from a 9 to 5 to being self-employed was easier because I had been doing it in my 9 to 5 for a long time. But if I were to jump into a whole new career or even a different part of real estate right now, I would start small in terms of getting my feet wet. Like, can I be someone's assistant? Can I be someone's admin? And also, does the companies that you end up working with, are they going to require you to have your real estate license? Or if you're in California, are they going to require you to become a certified California transaction coordinator? So many different questions that you would have to answer in order to be as prepared as possible. I don't think anyone is ever 100% prepared or 100% aware of, of being a transaction coordinator. Because just 2 weeks ago, all of, the way commissions are paid now changed. And it's changing as we speak. So the way real estate works is always going to be changing. But do you know how to access those changes? Do you know when those changes occur? And it's not to discourage you. It's just more so like to be mindful of these things as you are developing into this new role. And those things become second nature the more you do it and the more you become involved in this industry or in this work, as a TC or a realtor in this job. But shout out to you guys for being in here. Double tap the screen so you can get more people. So this live can be shared to more people. Let's try to get the live to 1,000 likes. So when you double tap the screen, you'll see a bunch of hearts. And that just means you like the live. And that tells TikTok that, oh, people are engaging with this live. So let's tell more people about it. And I think you can do the same thing. I think you can do the same thing on YouTube. I'm not sure. Honestly, I don't know how YouTube Live works. I just go live and I know it lives on my feed. So if you want to rewatch this episode, this live, it lives on my YouTube because I'm streaming on both. And I know TikTok doesn't save the lives. Oh, thank you. Thank you for liking the live. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm like learning different things. I've been going into other people's live streams and seeing how they do it. And a lot of people go on here and battle, or they go on here and stream music and stuff. But I know you can't do that on other platforms, but you can on TikTok. But you can you could double tap the screen. You can send, people could send gifts, and I can add people in the live. That's also what I want. That's kind of like my hopes in the future is like, if someone wants to come on the live with me and we just talk, or I can coach you through something or answer any questions, I can add a guest. And I think that would be really cool. Thank you so much, Cindy. I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. We hit 1,000. Yay. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Um, but I appreciate that. I know it just looks better now, right? Instead of like the random like 400 or whatever it was at before. The 1K looks good. um but shout out to those that are joining. I appreciate it. And you guys are asking a lot of great questions, and I don't ever want to come on here and I mean my intention, because you can take whatever I say, people are going to interpret things differently, right? But I want to come on here and just give you guys my honest perspective. You take it with a grain of salt, and you apply whatever you want to take from me, or maybe you take nothing, right? But maybe you just need to hear a different perspective. But I just want to come on here and share my experiences and answer your questions and talk about this job from my point of view. And again, learning to just be more confident in that role, being self-employed, because that's what it is. It's like being self-employed is a separate job from just being a TC. And I had to learn that. And that's something I'm still learning to this day. January of 2025 will mark my 7th year being self-employed, God willing. And, now being kind of at that 6.5-year mark, the first 3 years to me, I just was doing what came naturally, right? But then after a while, your natural talents only take you so far. And once like 2020 hit and we were all kind of stuck in the house, it was fun because I was already working from home by then. So now I had people to talk to, we were on Zoom all day, we were going live. It was a good time, right? But then once that kind of wore out and people started going back to the office, I'm stuck in the house again, right? And I'm not complaining because this is the life I prayed for almost every day for the last decade before I started doing this. And now that it's here, I had to remind myself, like, yes, you have a job to get done, but you're also running your own business. So if you stop marketing yourself, if you stop talking and meeting new people and networking, or even going to the people directly live, if I'm not clear, I have to get more clear on what my goals are and what my dreams are and what my priorities are, my values, my morals, my boundaries. You know what I mean? And having self-awareness around all of those aspects, and sometimes being self-aware can be very exhausting. I've said that before, and I mean that. Because I found myself, I would say a lot of last year, I found myself second guessing myself because it was like my last year of my 30s. I had started therapy. I had one of the worst I was having, because this was in the middle of 2023, the beginning and middle of 2023, I was having one of the worst years financially. And I had gotten back into debt due to a medical procedure, a dental procedure, I mean. I had taken a life coaching certification program, which set me back also in debt. And I had built a little bit of consumer debt because I wasn't making as much money. So financially, I was just like struggling. I was panicking. I was like anxious all the time. And I had to remind myself, like, you are a business. You are not just getting a job done. So you have to prioritize this as a business first, then get the jobs, the tasks, and the things done, because a lot of these can also be outsourced, but financially, obviously, I couldn't afford to outsource them at the time. So for me, I was like, okay, I either am going to continue transaction coordination, which at the time is like my main livelihood, or I can explore different ways that I can develop and grow my business. And I'm in that right now. Um, oh, are you licensed? And if so, what is the best way to have your license in California to just TC? So, yes, I have my real estate license. In the beginning, becoming a realtor wasn't ever something I wanted to do. But now, as I'm getting older, the idea of it is starting to soften, and I'm not as closed off to it as I used to be. Um, I think it was just the idea of having to work 24/7. That was a bit of a turnoff as a realtor. You know what I mean? But what is the best way to have your license in California to just TC? Um, wait, I'm a little confused at that question. What is the best way to have your license in California to just TC? Well, having your license, I'll tell you this much. Having my real estate license allowed me to be more available as a TC for other brokerages, because a lot of brokerages in California, especially up here in San Francisco, require you to have a real estate license. And I feel like over time, that's going to become more of like a strict rule. Is real estate professionals, even including transaction coordinators, must have their license. Um, I got my license before I quit my job. I came to a point in my life where I was like, well, if I'm going to take my career seriously, I need to get all the proper certifications. So if this doesn't work out, I at least have that to fall back on. And I thought I could do it doing online classes, and that didn't work out. So I ended up going to my city college, my local city college, taking the courses there, and then taking the test. I failed the first time because I panicked and was like, oh no, I don't know how to. I just want to see what it's like. I just want to see what it's like. And when I saw I failed, and I failed my real estate exam by like 2 or 3%, because you need a 70. I got like a 67, 66, something around that range, right? And I was so disappointed in myself that I had studied so much just for me to give up right when I got in there. I self-sabotaged myself. And after that, I vowed, I was like, I'm in the house. I'm not going out. I'm going to spend the rest of this winter studying day in and day out. I'm locking the door. And I did just that. And I got my real estate license in 2017. And I renewed it in 2020. And I have to renew it again next year. So, dang, those 5 years, those almost 10 years went by so quick. But California is definitely expensive. But if you have an opportunity to get your real estate license and you are serious about working in the real estate industry, I encourage you to get it. You know what I mean? You don't have to join an association or anything. Yeah, exactly. I was like, you don't have to join an association or anything because it is very expensive. But if you plan on using your license, then make sure you're budgeting for CAR, NAR, MLS, and wherever they want you to pay for access, because it does get expensive. And that's kind of, I think that's why I'm exploring becoming more serious about joining all of those, just because I never really budgeted for it. So in a way, I kind of took that shortcut of like, I'm just a real estate agent. I'm not a realtor. Like a realtor is someone that has the car association, the NAR, so association. They pay their dues. They're members of these associations. So Cindy, you're a realtor. I'm an agent. I don't belong to any associations yet. But with all the changes happening, I don't know what I should do. I honestly I was hoping I would just not be doing any files even this long. 3 years ago, so I just kept it all. Oh, yeah, yeah, but you could, if you end up canceling all of those memberships, um, I don't like I told you, I don't belong to any of those. I use my realtor's logins, or they'll add me as an admin, and I have access to all their stuff, and it also just keeps their marketing concise because it won't have your name on any of the documents or the forms. So yeah. So unless the brokerages that you work with require any of that stuff, or if you're looking to grow your agency to where you feel like it's more efficient to have those things, then other than those reasons, I don't think it's necessary. Even if you are maintaining like a volume of 20, I feel like you can still access those things from your realtors directly. Because even when I was doing like 90 transactions back in the day, I did not belong to CAR, NAR, or MLS. I asked for access from my broker or from the realtor directly, just so I can log in. So I hope that's helpful, when you're doing your budgeting in the future. But if it's also, I'm not a tax advisor, I'm not an accountant, but if you're using that as like write-offs and stuff, then just talk to your accountant. Talk to your accountant about, the best way to approach that. But yeah, but if you're not a realtor, if you're not like showing homes or writing contracts, offers, if you're not writing offers on behalf of anyone, I don't think it's really necessary if you're just a TC. Other TCs may say otherwise, but that's just my perspective. So think about it. Because if you really have, like, if you have not used any of those logins, obviously you're not going to have access to the CAR, like any of the classes or trainings that they offer. Excuse me. And just see what they offer for free, or maybe like a less expensive version, like for someone that isn't practicing real estate like that. But I don't know. A lot of these fees are just like, pay me my money for the whole year. No payment plans allowed. And that's tough because I was calling my E&O insurance and I was like, I need a payment plan. And they're like, we don't offer it. And I was like, well, then you're not going to get any money right now. And that's it. You're going to get it later this month. As long as I have time. Yeah, if you're not using any of the stuff you're paying for, save yourself some money. You can always, because even if the prices go up, nothing is grandfathered in. It's not like you're paying like an old price. Like, you're going to pay the same amount if I were to sign up today as a new person. So if you're not using it, then I wouldn't stress over it. But how's everyone doing? Checking in with the YouTube peeps over here, TikTok peeps. Oh, I've had Crest for the last 7 years. And because my taxes were kind of expensive this year, which included like my LLC payments, I was like, I got to rearrange some things. And I called in advance and they were like, we don't offer payment plans. So if you don't pay it, you no longer have a plan with us. And I might let me look that up. Byrek? Oh, Byberk. How do I say that? Byberk. Yeah, it's so expensive. Every year I paid for it, I was like, I can't believe I'm paying so much. I know it's beneficial, but geez, you don't offer a single payment plan? That's ridiculous. So I might, oh, oh, it's a Berkshire Hathaway company. Interesting. I have the tab open, so I'm gonna look into this. This is cool. Because I can definitely do a payment plan. And the reason I was one of the reasons I was very hesitant to pay it right up front was because I wasn't even sure if I was going to be doing real estate this long. And now that the due date is approaching for my insurance, I'm like, you guys are asking for so much money and you keep raising your prices. 30 something a month, that's it? What the heck? Oh my gosh, that's so affordable. I think mine got up to almost, how much was I going to pay? Like $900 a year? Oh yeah. Let me go see. $700, but still, it's a lot of money just to pay right outright. You know how many stocks I can buy with $700? Goodness gracious. And I have to renew my passport just in case. But anyway, thank you for that suggestion. I have the tab open. I'm going to look that up later. Because I am not opposed to changing companies, or at least calling Crest and saying, hey, this company has the option. So if I don't get the option, I'm going to switch. What do you want to do about it? And if they say nothing, then I'll say, cancel my policy. Thank you very much. Okay. I'm just kind of scrolling through the website right now. What other E&O insurance companies are there? Oh my God, YouTube, have you been hearing me? My mic was so far. But thank you so much for that, Cindy. I appreciate it. I'm going to work on that later. Oh, wow. We've been live for almost 2 hours, guys. This is awesome. What I'm learning going live this long is I'm going to need if I decide to do like an 8-hour live, right? I'm going to need more water, tea, basically anything like singers do before they perform, snacks. My phone is charged. My laptop is charged, so we're okay there. That's about it. Probably tea, water, and snacks. Because my throat is feeling it, and I ran out of water. Well, I didn't run out of water. I just don't want you guys seeing me drink out of a large jug of water right now. Okay, let's see. See, and this is the benefit of going live, because I get to connect with you all and see what other options are out there. And we can help each other out. I'll go live every day at this point. Why not? Especially like I want to go live. I'm still waiting to hit 1,000 followers here on TikTok, because that also will like unlock more features when I go live or even when I post. So I'm still learning the whole TikTok platform. With YouTube, I enjoy going live because that helps with like the watch hours and getting monetized and stuff like that. So I have a long way to go, but shoot, I'll go live. I'll go live more. I just found like Tuesdays was like that sweet spot where people were coming in and joining and engaging more. But I have no problem going live more often. I was thinking of doing that for my Patreon. Is actually, let me think. Maybe what's today? Tuesday the 6th. You know what? F it. This whole week, I'm going to go live every day. And then probably starting next week, I'll create like a Zoom link or something. I have to work out the technical difficulties, or I have to work out the technicalities, but then starting like next week, I'll create like a Zoom maybe for those that are in my Patreon, where I'm just like, I have it open. And then if people want to join, because I don't want to share that publicly, if that makes sense. But now the ideas are flowing. But I enjoy going live. I keep saying that because I mean it. And as long as I don't have like a lot, as long as my work isn't like suffering, I don't mind going live longer. Because we help each other out. That's what it's about. Whoa. There's someone that so I'm on Facebook right now. Someone says they're offering 3 transactions. Oh, okay. I thought she was offering 3 transactions for $300. I was like, $100? And someone commented, if you're just starting out, not to lowball yourself. And I agree with that. I don't think you should lowball yourself if you're just getting started out. And if you don't feel like you're worth the price you're about to charge, then maybe you just have to pause and not offer your services just yet and keep learning until you feel worthy of that price. Because I thought she was offering to do 3 transactions for $300 total. But $300 each is not a lot. I think everyone should be charging at least, depending on where you are. If you're in California, bare minimum $500. But that's just my opinion. I just got into $500 like a couple years ago. And you'll realize a lot of realtors are like, $500? That's so expensive. But you think about everything else that's gone up, it's comparable. It's affordable. But how are you guys doing with all the changes to the disclosures and like the commissions and stuff like that? I'm starting to notice all of the new forms being implemented. So I've just been updating my checklist as I go, because I kept updating my checklist every time there was a new update. And then they would say, oh, we're not using that anymore, so don't use it. And I'm like, oh my God. So these couple of new listings that I got this week, I've just been updating my checklist based on those and not off of the training courses or the classes. I'm like, whatever is signed at the whatever is fully executed, then I'll go off of that. Oh my God, so many realtors are clueless. It's very scary. You know, I had a lot of reasons why I wanted to create content, but I also have to remember that not everyone is sitting down to watch the content, you know, and that's why I also call my business Transaction Care. It's a play on the word California real estate, CARE, but from my experience over the years, I just saw people coming in and collecting checks, not double checking or reading contracts and noticing that things were out of order, or that names were spelled wrong, or that dates weren't put on the contracts or disclosures. Or they would just be like, do we really need that form? Do we really need that contract? And I'd just be like, oh my gosh. So many times I'd be like, oh, I'm on the wrong side of real estate. And I just, but I don't know what they're going through on the sales end. I don't know, but it isn't just about collecting the check or the commission. It's about actually putting the buyers and sellers first, myself included. So yeah, it's kind of sad that a lot of agents are pretty clueless, which is why they hire transaction coordinators, because a lot of what is his name? I think it's Tom Ferry. A lot of these realtors will sign up for these like masterminds, or what are they called? Workshops. There's another word for it, and then they go into these trainings saying, like, if you want to make $10 million in a year, you have to outsource all of these jobs, and you don't touch a single file. You don't touch a single disclosure. You don't talk to anyone. Your only job is to close the deal. And I'm like, okay. And then a lot of these realtors are like negligent. It's frustrating. But, I'm grateful that what I do know is that I care. So I'm going to do my job. But if they give me resistance, as long as I have it written in email form and they have proof that they've written it, like even if they decide to call me, I will recap that conversation in an email and copy the compliance, whether it's the compliance email or compliance department, just so I'm, just to cover my behind. CYA. That's the best approach that has worked for me. Because again, going back to what we were talking about earlier with not being embarrassed, is like if a realtor says, I had one realtor, I wasn't working with him, but he was on the other side. And it was we represented the buyers, they represented the sellers. And I said, hey, we need the San Francisco disclosures. Specifically, the San Francisco seller disclosure, which is like the seller property questionnaire, but it's specific for San Francisco. So in San Francisco, we do not use the SPQ. We use the San Francisco seller disclosure. So this realtor was like, oh, I don't like that form. I think this one's better. So I kept requesting it. And then like the final time I included my compliance department, and they let it go, which is fine, but I know for our transactions, I can't base my decisions off of people's feelings. Like it comes down to doing it legally and right. Like I don't feel like doing this work either, but I'm doing it. But he straight up was like, yeah, I don't like that form. So let's just use a different one. You are putting your clients at risk by doing that. You are putting your clients in such a predicament that if a buyer were to say, well, I didn't know about this specific thing because it wasn't in the SPQ, because it wasn't disclosed in the first place. So anyway, you can only do your own due diligence. You can only go so far, but as long as you have things in writing, at the end of the day, it's going to be the realtor and the broker's responsibility. But always do your part as a TC to get those requests in, to push when pushing is necessary. And again, to always have that paper trail. So there's proof that you tried. And it's okay to get your broker, your managing broker, your your vice president, whoever is in charge beyond the realtor, it's okay to get them involved at any point if you feel like something is wrong. Again, it's okay to CC, to text, to call the people that are actually in charge or who can come in and be like that extra muscle to get the job done. Because a lot of the times the realtors are like, well, no one's watching me, so why should I care? But then you get their broker involved and then they get it done within seconds. I've seen it happen. My neck was starting to hurt looking down at my computer and my phone. But anyway, a lot going on. And also, I'm trying to watch some of the Olympics. I hope you guys, are any of you guys watching the Olympics? What are your favorite events? It's a good escape from work sometimes, or background noise. It's good background noise. I've just been watching clips on like social media. The only things I've watched live are like basketball, gymnastics. I saw some archery the other day randomly on TV. Excuse me. Let me see. How can I got it. Sorry, guys. Let me see. You guys are gonna look at the tennis balls. Like I told you, I didn't want you guys seeing me take giant gulps of water on camera. Oh man. But I'm going to stay on here for another 10 minutes unless more people decide to join. There's a lot of people here on YouTube, so if you guys have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat. Big yourself up if you have anything to celebrate, if you have some wins you want to celebrate. I think that's so important to, uplift our spirits and our day, and to just show yourselves that you guys are getting things done. Even if it's a small win or a big win, it's okay to celebrate them. You know what I mean? Because we need those. We need those along the way. You're welcome. Thank you so much for being in here. You're probably already following, so, look out if I go live tomorrow and the day after. I just realized, you know what? Let me just go live until I hit 1,000 followers on TikTok. I'm making that commitment right now. So thank you for inspiring me to do that. Thank you for also sharing the E&O insurance. I didn't know about that one. I had heard about what's the other one? There's another one. I think it starts with an H, but I'd never heard of this one. So this is good. So thank you so much. You're probably saving me hundreds and hundreds of dollars. But be on the lookout. I'll go live every day until I hit 1,000 subscribers, 1,000 followers here on TikTok. Why not, right? But I'll stay on for another about 5 minutes and take it from there. And things I've learned today is to not eat anything spicy before I go live, because it's making me cough and it's causing my allergies. Lots of water and tea, or something like hot water. But bring your questions, bring your thoughts, bring your ideas, or we can all just work together in silence. And maybe I'll play some music if you guys have any requests. Because if I just go live on TikTok, then I could play music. But if I'm live on YouTube, I can't play music, because then I'll get like restrictions and stuff. I like to work with music most of the time, not all of the time. Or like a podcast or something in the background. But 2 hours of chatting with you guys, I appreciate each and every one of you. It does get lonely, so I don't mind coming on here and just being, even if I'm the background noise for you guys. And I'll come up with more topics to talk about and more things to, give my insight and knowledge on. Check out my podcast. I just released an episode on Monday after taking a month off, because I just needed some time. I just needed more time for me to figure out what my next moves were going to be. And I realized I do enjoy doing the podcast. So I'm going to do my best to be more consistent with that. And if there are specific topics or people maybe you want me to interview, go ahead and message me and let me know. I will add it to my list and reach out to those people if I feel like they're in alignment with my with who I am and my business and my messaging. Because, you know, I interviewed about 20 people last year and they were all great. And now we are all colleagues and friends, and it's helped me be more motivated and inspired. And why not bring that back for you all? And if you want to join my private community on Patreon, you can go ahead and go to patreon.com/transactioncare. It's $7 a month. It's my private community where I will definitely be giving more of a comprehensive, like longer form training videos, or, you get direct access to me via chat in there as well. And you can, converse with the community members in there as well and build your own network. So it's brand new. So I just launched it last week. And my goal is to hit at least 10 members there by the end of the month. So think about it. Tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. Because why not? Oh my gosh. But this is a good live. I think a lot of the things that we talked about today were very productive, very useful. I definitely have benefited from this as well, from you guys. So I'm very grateful for that. And I know a lot of people want to start in transaction coordination, but, start with why you want to do it, where you're going to do it, who you're going to service, how much you're going to charge, and what is your game plan from there to gain business. Sounds simple, but it's going to take time, but you'll get there. You will get there. Just, know your numbers. What education do you need? And just get really specific. Get specific in order to know yourself, in order to know your business, know who you are as a business owner, operator. Are you going to be hiring help? Are you going to be doing this solo? How much can you take on solo? And just keep auditing your life the same way you would audit your files. And just knowing what your priorities are will help you stay focused. And that's at least what's been helping me lately. And knowing I have a schedule that I go live has been helping me stay consistent with that. Knowing I have a schedule with when I drop vlogs has been helping me stay consistent with that. Knowing exactly how each realtor that I work with, how they work in their systems and their platforms or their logins, knowing those things helps me be more efficient. Yeah. And we're always a work in progress. We're all a work in progress. And that's okay. You don't have to get everything right the first time, the second time, or even the third time when it comes to building out your business. So, all right, well, I'm going to stay on here for one more minute and then I'm out of here. But have a great rest of your day, everyone. Have a great rest of your evening. Thank you for joining me for 2 hours. What? 2 hours. I value your time, your energy. Wishing you all nothing but the best. I hope to see you guys in the next live. If you aren't following me on TikTok, add me on TikTok. I've made the decision today. I will be going live every day until I hit 1,000 followers. So talk to you guys soon. I appreciate you all. Have a great, wonderful, blessed day. Talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye. All right, let's get out of here. See ya. What?